Lawrence. Kirk's a graduate of the Bachelor of Design Communication program, and in the past has worked for Myth, Fibre? A little bit. Who else? A number of other companies?
I did some work for Brand Aid.
Brand Aid?
Yeah.
For Luke Johnson, right.
Yeah, and I work mostly at Tuapeka. As if I see nice, but yeah, that's cool.
And Tuapeka, yes. So we're really grateful to have Kirk, and I'm sure that we'll have some questions for him after his presentation. Thanks. Do you want the lights on or what?
That's fine.
It's fine. Yeah.
Alright, yeah, I'm Kirk. So I'm just going to talk to you about what I do and more about previous. My sort of history as well. So I worked at Tuapeka at third form. So I started off pretty young doing previous graphic design stuff. I got taken on as apprenticeship in previous graphic design, which is pretty cool. And then I worked there full time, and while I started doing my degree here. In my started third year, I got taken on at Myth, part-time as a designer, and I did web development. And then I got offered a job, started this year, for Tuapeka Gold Print. Got an email and they asked if I could take on their design digital department. So I've got a team of 14 that we work together, and I also work freelance for the marketing department. So what I want to kind of cover is doing communication design, and I break into 3 categories for visual design. There's print and product, which are pretty close because they work together, and then there's screen. So print takes up a good segment of visual communication. And then what is pre-press? So pre-press is really the whole general coverage of everything before print, so artwork preparation, colour breakdown, and this is kind of my overview, like a rough overview of what I've done, and it covers things like substrate, typography, bleed. So pre-press really is everything from the design department, so when you start creating artwork, working with the client to pushing print, and it's a real misinterpreted sort of field because a lot of people think, especially clients, here's a file, let's just go and print it, and it's can get a bit hectic. So at Tuapeka, these are the 4 sort of areas that we work in for print: digital, sublimation, screen, and pad. So digital is really like wide format prints that can be, if you've seen it in Newsflash, those kind of prints that they use there, that's digital. It's sort of direct to digital. Sublimation is heat transfer, so I'll just start passing around some of these in a second. This is the type of paper, it just looks like normal paper. If you feel it, it's got a, because the ink's like a solvent-based sort of ink. The image is inverted, so then when it goes onto the product, baked or heat pressed, sublimation ink goes direct to the product. So sublimation can be anything like a mouse, like a mouse mat. We do these like aluminium drink bottles as well. And sublimation is pretty cool because it can be kind of any product. Like I said, it could be metal, plastic, material based. So sublimation is quite a growing, still developing print process. Screen, most of you probably already know about screen as well. You've got your mesh screen, and they expose the, I always forget the sort of technical part to it, but it's, screen printing is really for clothing rather than materials. So like this is screen print, and screen print's got that feel of ink as well. It covers a good detail. Like screen print's really great for, especially for clothing, like getting fine detail. Like this BP logo is, it's got really fine tuned sort of strokes to it, and again, like screen print can be on anything almost. This is a new sort of product that we've got in. It's like the McDonald's drink cups, but now it's like a hard one, and they actually come with straws. So again, you can feel the sort of screen print on there. And pad printing is quite a technical sort of printing process. It involves a pad. It's not like a notepad. This is what a pad is. It's a type of kind of rubber silicon, like a rubber really. And it just you have your aluminium plates where the artwork gets prepared on, and it's engraved. The artwork gets covered in ink. The pad goes onto it, and this will go onto the product. So it's a machine that will do it, and it'll do a 4-color process. So do like CMYK, spot colors, We'll do like special inks like whites or metallics. And the great thing of hand printing is it's really efficient. It's really fast. So I can leave these all here behind, but just get moved. So also a big part of pre-press is colour. And the colour game, you've probably seen these all before, but it's really important to understand, especially talking to your client, about what you can achieve for colour. And a big part of pre-press is colour correction. So you would have seen brand standards, brand guidelines for a company. Like ANZ, for example, they've got that real saturated blue. They'll have a set PMS colour, which is based on Pantone. It's a type of specified ink, and for you to match. But the gamut kind of shows really good where CMYK can be achieved. RGB is all for screen, but visible colour gamut is, I usually call it the client colour gamut, because the client will see this colour and be like, oh, let's print that, you know, it's really cool. And you've got to educate the client and say, no. And here's an example. I don't know if it's a projector, but of what a breakdown of the like CMYK versus PMS. So PMS is Pantone matching system, stands for. And the RGB, the red, green, and blue, they're PMS colours. But when you kind of break it down to CMYK, the colour, desaturates quite a bit. And again, like Pantone 021 is a real tricky colour to match. It's like a real vibrant orange, but again, for RGB, CMYK, it's really hard to break down to. Another important thing about pre-press, it's really important for designers to know as well, is about bleed and trapping. So how many people know about bleed? Yeah, so bleed really is just, you've got your artwork like on this diagram, and bleed's a bit's going to cut off. It's really there so it prints the edge. When you go to cut, so say you're printing a poster and you didn't have bleed, you're kind of relying on that cut right into the edge, and you don't want to show white or paper, whatever the substrate is. So bleed's usually like 3mm for most print stuff, but if you go up to like billboard size, it can be up to like 50mm. And another important bit's about margin areas. So you don't want your, like text or something to be too close to the bleed, because otherwise it'll get cut off and it can be a really bad sort of design decision. For trapping, I think it's kind of hard to projector. Trapping's like, they'll use it more for sort of screen print or digital print. For example, this artwork here, it's on a black product, but you need to print the full colour, and they need white as well for the text. So they print white underneath first, and then they print the separation of the other colours on top. So the problem that can happen is you'll see maybe like a white outline around the outside. So trapping is they'll reduce the spacing around the side, so eventually you won't see, like, this is a good example because you don't see any white border. And there's a thing about, do any of you know about print registration? Print registration is when you print like CMYK, any sort of printing process, they've got to line up, otherwise you're going to see like a movement in the colour. And if that's not registered properly, then you'd see the white border. So trapping, and they also talk about overprint, is kind of reducing the area or adding a little bit more to the artwork. And a real obvious bitmap and vector for resolution. Vector's really great because it can just expand. It never loses detail. And I've just shown bitmaps so you can see pixels. It's it's an important part. Working with clients, it's really important to educate them, because so many times I've been working for like 9 years now, and so many clients just expect to know what the outcome's going to be like, and it's really tricky. It's really important to sort of, as you guys as designers, to learn so much more about pre-press. It's such an important aspect of being a designer, that you can say, yeah, you can do this, or you can't. It's I've worked with a lot of bad clients in the past, and it's trying to achieve what they want at the same time. So my advice for you guys, really big one will be learn and design. Do many of you use the learn and design? We'll do it here. Yeah, so it's an industry standard for print, and for most designers and freelance designers. And it's the whole sort of print preparation for print. Again, learn the Pantone colours. So learn, Martin had a good example of the colour bridge. And this shows what you can achieve with colours. Like again, that 021 that I was showing you before, see the difference. You know, if a client really likes this, they see it on screen, and then you print that and show them that, they're going to be pretty annoyed. And then, yeah, like really knowing how to design for print. So printing for, like I said, like bleed margins. And again, pre-press is the whole everything for print. If your artwork's not really, what's the word, you know, like not great for the print, then it's not going to work out right, and it's just going to end up in trouble. So the approach is to nail it straight on the first time. And trial of colour, like I always trial with, I've got a few new machines, and we've got these new wide format ones that print really good saturated colours, so we've been able to achieve more PMS colours. And a guy called David Urey, just Google him, he's really great. He talks a lot about print and brand identity, but he covers a lot about pre-press. So yeah, thanks.
What's the most common sort of thing to happen with clients? You know, that you said that you educate them.
Yeah.
What do they commonly complain about, or?
Colour's like usually the biggest thing, because you know they'll send their work on a monitor, you know, from their computer, and it's you know, completely different to what the print is. And a lot of clients will work with, you know, freelance designers or some other designer. They'll choose a PMS colour, but they see it differently on the screen. So like colour's the biggest issue. Like if work gets sent back, it's because of colour.
So do you try and talk to, like, have a Pantone book with them and like show them that it's how it's actually going to print out?
Yeah, like we'll do a what we call like a pre-pro, which is we'll just print one, and we usually just take a high-res photo beside the PMS. So again, like you've got your different Pantones, you've got like coded or uncoded. So same for like the screen printed drink bottle. So this one here, the blue, and then we'll compare it to the PMS, show the photo, and if the client's happy, then we just proceed. But again, we've got to make sure that camera's calibrated right so that they can see the colours again. Like it's the problem with colour is everyone's computers are calibrated differently, or using different colour.
So are you usually corresponding with clients over computer, like not?
Yeah, well, a lot of our clients are like international, and built on Australian. You know, it's not like they can kind of come in.
Yeah.
So we have to rely on like a high-res photo.
Yeah.
When and where would you use pad printing, and why?
Pad printing's like the big things like pens, like we'll do mainly pad printing because the pad you're seeing, since it's that rubber, it can go around objects, so it doesn't have to necessarily be a flat object. Yeah, pad printing's like mainly like the biggest thing that we do would be pens for it. It's but you know, you pad it, if you want to print something big, you don't want to pad it's going to be like this big, so it's really for small objects. They've got like a contour to it. But if you want any more of a contour, then you go screen. So like a pad's not going to be able to wrap all the way around here. It's yeah, so it's really for small objects.
So why wouldn't you use the heat transfer for a pen?
Heat trans.
Or sublimation, sorry.
Sublimation, yeah, just too small. Like this sheet that I was showing you, it's I'll pass it around. Like, you'll feel this sort of thing. It's you don't want to cut out like a little bit of paper and try and register it. It's it's going to be too fiddly. Yeah, but like we'll print on practically anything. We're printing on these like USB business cards now, which they're pretty cool. Like the colour's hard to sort of match, but the smaller the product, you know, that's when it'll sort of go digital. Like the way the industry is going, everything's just gonna go digital. That's what I reckon. Yeah.
Is there a big cost difference in screen printing rather than digital?
Yeah, digital's a lot cheaper, and that's why, and it's more efficient. That's why it's kind of heading that way. Yeah, screen's it is a lot more expensive, but it depends on like quantity.
Yeah.
You do. Yeah. But screen has better like quality, like a print quality, than a digital.
Would you say What would be your number one tip of advice for someone who hasn't done any practical work in the industry?
Try do it. It sounds funny, but try do it for free for some like print place. Like if you go to a place and be like, oh, can I do some work for you for free? They're going to be happy to, and they're going to show you what to do, and then you're just going to get that, your foot in the door to that experience. Like it's really hard. Like I think a lot of students come out of their degree or diploma and expect it's going to be, you just design and that's it. But you've got to know how to design for it. It's not going to try to put you off what you want to design in your own sort of creative style. But it's hard to sort of communicate to people that previous is really important. Think about what you're really going to be designing for. Even if you're an illustrator and stuff, their artwork's still going to be either printed or is it going to be shown on the screen? Is it going to be on a bottle? Like it's you've got to know how it's going to come out. But yeah, I'd say try to do talk to someone and be like, oh, can I just do some work for you for free? And they'll teach you. It's pretty good,
How many designers at the moment do you have close relationships with? Do independent designers contact you on a regular basis to say, is this the right thing, am I doing things the right way, or do they just give it to the client and the client comes to you and you fix all the crap that happens?
It's a bit of both. Like my team, I've got 14. For them, when they come, they'll be doing some work and they'll come and see me. But they're pretty efficient now, and a lot of the time they don't need to. With clients, we get kind of like the middleman, so there'll be like a marketing company, promotions, and they'll want all this work done, and so they're like the middleman for the client. So it's really difficult to do it. So we try communicate just straight to the person who communicated us, then the previous client. It's hard. The more people that are in the middle, it gets more mixed up. But it's better. You try really to just educate the people who are working on it first, because we get a lot of freelance designers sending work, and there's regular ones that we see their name on the job order. We look for this, but you kind of don't want to offend them and say you're doing it wrong. But it's all about education.
So do you suggest that people who are branching out or wanting to become independent graphic designers, that they develop a really strong relationship with a printer that's...
Yeah. So for me, I worked 6-7 years at Tuapeka Print, so they've always been a close printer to me. And then when I was working at Myth, I worked on a few magazines, and since I had that close relationship with them, I just send the work to them.
Yep.
So, and they helped you out, the less cost. But it's all about, you want a real close relationship with different printers, because at Tuapeka Print they just did offset printing, which is all just sort of paper or magazines, business cards. Here at TGP they'll do print on anything, but they won't do magazines. So it's really get contacts with as many as you can. If you're planning to go freelance, then definitely.
Have you had any problems with ethics in design? Have you designed anything for clients that you didn't agree with?
Not really. I've seen some stuff, but you kind of, the client's your boss really at the end of the day. You got to do what they say. But it's tricky.
Can you give us an example of what you're saying?
They still print it. At Tuapeka Print, they print it's like a nude magazine for older people that, I don't know, they nudist colonies or whatever you call them, communities.
Yeah.
But that was and it was a real touchy sort of thing, because the printer at Tuapeka Print, he's very religious. So they worked out a thing that he doesn't have to print it; they'll just get another printer to do it. But But I'll leave all this products here. You can keep them.
I've got a question, and that is, do you have any friends who are designers that you work with occasionally?
From study or just?
Yeah, friends from study.
I'm working close with Asaya.
Yeah.
He's a web developer. He works at MediaCorp. And again, like him and me collaborated quite quickly because web, like, this is off pre-press though. Like he does web development, but he doesn't like the design. And I'd rather do the design, he'll do the coding. So that's how we sort of collaborate. It's just an example again for like pre-press. If you don't really want to know pre-press, then you need to be working with someone who knows it. But yeah, be friends with the really smart people.
So, and just more about the the idea of graduating and then getting a job.
Yeah.
So, how would you recommend people approach a studio for work? Because you've done that several times, a studio or a printing business or something.
Yeah, it is hard, especially for Dunedin because it's so small. But really, just what you want to do is get your foot in the door. And like I said before, if you just offer to do work for free, it's probably your best bet. Doing work I've done a little bit of work for Luke Johnson of Fire Brand Aid, and it was kind of free. It was just like he was giving me help and I was doing some work for him. But then you're building up that experience, and I'd say do it before you graduate. Like you guys are second years, so start now. Or if you've already started, then keep at it, and hassle them. Like go to Firebrand and say, hey, I want to design you a logo or something, and just keep hassling them. So then you can get the testimonial, and then your name's kind of out there. That's the key. Like get your name out there as fast as you can.
Does anyone have any questions about the pre-press booklet project for Kirk? Because you did that project as well, didn't you?
Yeah.
In fact, you did this one. No.
It's got a brown colour.
That one.
Was that?
Yes.
Yeah.
What were your biggest problems or hardest things to overcome for that?
For this?
Yeah.
Some classmates. Yeah, this one. Yeah. I think because teamwork is, to be honest, it is hard, and you will come across people that it's tricky to work with, and some that are easier. That was probably the hardest thing, but I think our budget in the end. I think we're real tight with it. I don't know what you have now. Are you doing one whole one or two? Three. But at the same time, like everyone was doing their own sort of segments. So like someone was doing the printing press, or I think it's really good to just keep chatting to everyone else. Then you can learn a bit more instead of just learning that one thing. And keep it though. I've lost my oldness. It'd be great to.
You can have that one.
Okay, sweet.
There's another one there.
Because it's a real good resource as well. Oh, and check spelling. Or get someone else to. Like any work that I do, design work, I've always got one copywriter or another person who checks over my work. Because printing, you make a spelling mistake, it's printed. Compared to web, if you make a mistake on a website, it's easy to fix. But yeah, spelling.
When you say you've got a copywriter or copy editor who checks your work, is that at Tuapeka?
Oh no, this is just the freelance stuff that I do.
Yeah.
Tuapeka, we don't do big body copy stuff, like we're not doing a magazine or anything.
So this is like someone that you sort of can get in touch with if you need to have stuff proofed.
Yeah. And because usually copywriters are people who write copy as well, and they're good at rewording things. They sound old. But yeah, always don't just get one set of eyes. Get like 2 or 3 other people to look over it. Because if you print a spelling, I don't know. I think the other group there was a few spelling mistakes, and I saw. Like you learn after a while, because when people say, "Oh, the guy will mark all the spelling mistakes I've done or errors," and then you kind of pick up on them, and then they get less and less. But yeah.
Does someone that charges you, is it like a company or do you just go online or what?
Oh, it's just a guy I've known since when I was working at Tuapeka. I just flick him an email. He's usually really good about it. But he lives in Austria, so he moved over there. Yeah.
Oh,
All right.
Yeah.
Do you have to pay him?
Yes, if it's small stuff, he's pretty good because we help each other, and again, it's networking. You know, if I do him a brand identity for something, and one of his clients, then he'll give me so many hours worth of copywriting. But yeah, just worked strengths. Yeah.
Is there any good printers that you think we should work with and then that'll be happy with it?
I'd say Tuapeka because I was there, but I think Salakala gave a better price. Yeah. But like at this one, I remember was digital printed. So digital printed compared to the offset printing, it's a lot cheaper.
Yeah.
And for what you guys are doing, digital would be probably the best option.
I'm not sure whether Southern Colour would do like 30 copies of a book.
Oh, you're only doing 3. There's 3 different groups. Yeah.
There's 3 groups, but there's like 30 copies of each book. So
Digital print though would.
30?
Yeah, because with digital print, there's no like setup cost. That's why it's like rapidly expanding. You don't need like for paper print, you need these plates to be engraved and then go to the press and set up. And if there's a mistake, you have to go back get another plate. And with digital print, it's just your artwork's ready and you just hit print. That's really it. Yeah. Get quotes. I don't know what they're sort of charging now. Probably charging more. Or Dunedin print.
Dunedin print, easy print, speed print. Yeah. Uniprint.
It's printing.co.nz on
And what?
on High Street.
Oh yeah,
The new one?
the online one. That's pretty cheap.
Is it?
Yeah, but I don't know what if to do like. But this is a perfect bound book with the glue and the sort of thing. I don't know if print would do that with that.
But Tari print can do that?
Yep, Tara printed this one. That was because I was working there. What are the budgets?
It's $25 per person, so that works out at $750 all up. If there's 3 booklets, then that's $250 a book. But each person is expected to put in, say, about $10 or more. So that works out to about 10, so about $35 a book.
Maybe if everyone just wanted to go offset printing, they could set them all up in one plate. The Southern Colour, because Southern Colour do they've got an A2 press.
Yeah. Yeah. The trouble is there's quite a few pages in the book. There's about 66 pages in the book. Each book.
Oh.
So there's 30 people, and each person's doing a double page spread of research, plus sort of end and back papers, so that works out to about 60 plus 6 pages, so about 66 pages. And if it was A5, that's how many plates and CMYK?
But they don't have to make, the plates would be divided by 3 because you get the same app on the plate.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be 4.
We could do that if we did just one booklet.
1. Yeah.
Yeah. It would make it cost effective if we just did one book.
But I suppose every group's got their own ideas on how they want it done or size.
That's the idea.
So is there 3 project managers?
Yeah. What's the cost of it? Is embossing quite expensive? Sweet.
You can, like I learnt last year, I did like hand embossing.
Yeah,
Yep. Yeah, you make like a stencil and you can just kind of rub through with it. It's just like a stylus, like a like a tablet stylus, like a pen. But both ends are just round and you can do it. If you're only doing 30 copies and you can spend the time doing it, perfect gold. But yeah.
Well, I suggested laser cutting a bit of plywood or acrylic and using that as the form for the embossing, embossing form.
And press it, how would you?
With a rotary press, with a felt blanket.
We have one of them.
No, but there's one over at the art school, plenty over at the art school.
And you
Isn't
go
that
use them
correct?
whenever you want.
Pardon?
Can you go use them whenever you want? or
I'm
you-
sure Neil would allow us to do that for about an hour. It would only take an hour to do about 30 books, wouldn't it, correct?
I've never lost before.
Does anyone else have any questions? Well, look, thank you very much, Kirk.
That's right. No worries. Remember the holder?
Oh yeah, shall I put the kettle on?
Yeah. This is a new product, and it's like you can see it's black, but there's a print, and it only reveals when you've got like hot water, or like if you're having a coffee.
Oh, that's cool.
How is that possible?
It's sublimated. It's the type of like product. It's the same as like as this one. Like you won't feel any sort of print on it. It's the same print as that, but it's I don't know the technical side, but I think it kind of absorbs into it. Do you remember like those cards you used to get and you'd rub them and
Oh,
then
yeah.
they'd show it? There's like a little,
You
yeah, it's
get
like
the
the
action figures that are changed under hot water.
yeah. So it's kind of the same as that.
Have you ever done any printing with UV ink? You know, like something that only shows up under a...
Yeah, oh, we kind of did. We were trying this new ink when I was at Tuapeka for offset, and it was kind of like glow in the dark. Is that what you're doing? So
Well, sort of like I don't know if you're doing a banner for like a club or something, and they only want it to show under blue lights.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I'd say you just print like an opaque or white. You'll probably do it. Because
Yeah.
UV usually picks it just up on there.
Okay.
But then you'd see it when the lights are off, or no, I haven't really thought of that.
Yeah.
What's the deal with offset printing? Can you like describe the steps really basically?
Yeah, so offset printing is the same. Like the tire print, you'd have aluminium plates like this.
Oh yeah,
Um,
right.
But they're bigger because, you know, size A3. These are SRA3, or a bit bigger than SRA3.
Yeah.
And say you're wanting to print some business cards on the sheet, they'll, and it's 4 colours, so there'll be 4 colours CMYK. They'll do 4 plates, but there's a colour separation, so each colour gets added on makes the image. So you've got CMYK. And they're all at sort of different angles. It's really just laying them on. It's called like a dot gang pattern. So just heaps of little dots.
I can see the logo already.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Where can I buy one?
Tuapeka. So again, like if you're designing for that, you don't want to have your artwork too close to the top, because you know.
Is it toxic?
No.
Sure.
Oh, cheers, man. Just here.
The handle does as well, but doesn't.
Oh right, it's not heating up because it's just not. Oh, it's getting there. So what kind of? That's a thermal kind of ink or something?
No, it's just sublimated, the same as that other one. It's the exact same artwork, and yeah, so those sheets of paper that'll just get printed off, like maybe like 3 up. They'll cut them with the guillotine, and then they get wrapped around it with a sort of clamp. So there's heaps of them. They get put into, they call it like an oven. It's just a big sort of heating thing, and they sit in there for like 20 minutes. Pull them out, and you take it off, and the print's there. But you've got to invert the artwork, because you think about if you were to print it and put it on there, the image is going to be inverted. So before you print, so when you print it off the printer, the artwork's actually the other way around. So when it goes on, it's the right way around. That makes sense?
Is it very expensive to do? Like if you went to a client and you said, "Have got a great idea for you because you know you want to make mugs and this is going to be your new mug." You're 2.
Well, I was just saying that's the same one.
Oh, right, I
That
see.
one's just a different type of mug.
Like, is that quite expensive to do? To make?
Well, no, not really, because again, before sublimation, it's digital. So you're printing off a digital printer, like a
Yeah.
roll-in. So there's no setup cost. So you can just get one done if you want.
Right.
They'll do that. You know, it'll be cheaper to get more done, just because of shipping or. I don't know, it's a pretty good gift. But that's the thing with digital print.
What's the minimum you can get done of that?
I don't know. I don't do the accounts or anything, so
Yeah.
I'm not too sure. Like I wouldn't even know if pricing. Like the catalogue itself doesn't even say price wise.
Right.
I think it might say like minimum quantities.
Is that done in the machine? Like, how does the actual print get onto the cup? Is it something that wraps around the cup and heats it and holds onto it and then let's go? Or?
Yeah, those sheets will get printed and they get cut to the size. Like a big stack of them will get cut, and some will just wrap around with this kind of clamp. It's like a rubber sort of clamp to the mug, and then you just put it in the oven, sort of baking and the type of ink, because it's a type of like kind of solvent digital ink, it'll just transfer onto it, and it's there permanently. So for a mug, you know, it has to be permanent. So you wouldn't want like a screen printed mug, because over time, you know, you can feel the coating off it. It'll just scratch off.
So what about like different? I mean, how well does that printing work on something that is a solid object but is perhaps a lot more porous than ceramic or metal or something like that? Do you get issues with the ink?
No.
Spreading too much or?
Yeah, like we're always getting new products. Like we've got this guy, we've got a close connection in China. We just get anything. Like we'll print on like anything. So we're always getting new products. We've got to test them first. And again, that's when pre-press comes in. You've got to know how the colour's going to come out. So for that, it's really tricky to match colour, because you've always got to have water in it so we can match it. Otherwise, we'll just go dark, and it's with new products. It's just really just about trial and error. And we usually sort of set it up so we'll know, you know, this new product. These are the settings to use in pre-press, colour conversions, and yeah. But your name, just print on anything.
Yeah, because the colour matching must be quite crucial for something like this, where, like with that one, as soon as you print it, you can see what it looks like.
Yeah.
And you can match the colour. If you had a client that had their own corporate colour, and you want to get that on there, you want to make sure that when it heats up, it displays the correct colour to match the client's corporate colour.
And also, like, there's no real sort of pure white as well. Like, that mug's kind of, it's not white, so we've got to try and adjust again. You know, every sort of product's different. Like the white on this bottle will be different to that white if you put it beside it. One will look more maybe yellow.
You're talking about the inside of the mug is different?
No, just the actual white, the substrate surface.
Mm.
So whatever you're printing on, like if it's these like, I'll pass these around. These are resin labels. Like you might have probably seen them like on old towers of computers. It's like a hard plastic resin. You know,
these are the resin.
They do like they do keychains and
Yeah. So is this just like you were saying? You just drop the resin on, print it, and then drop the resin on.
Yes, I'm not 100% sure because it kind of goes out to the factory.
Yeah.
After the print, there's like a setup, and they'll just drop. They sort of detect the edges of the vinyl because it's vinyl printed underneath, and they'll just spread out. So like that house shape, the resin will just kind of go out.
Yeah.
But we've had a client who wanted a resin label that was like the size of like an Easter egg, you know. And it was really hard because you're trying to put resin on it and it's spreading out, and it'll either overfill or be not enough. Heaps of clients like them.
Tactile.
Yeah. Well, they've got the adhesive on the back, so you can just stick them anywhere.
Yeah.
Again, like this is sublimation, this is a cap. So materials, so the same paper for like the mug would print, and then you just print artwork onto a cap. And like we've got a warehouse that's huge, like the size of the warehouse. And like, does everyone know where Lawrence is?
Yes.
Yeah, and this takes up most of Lawrence, and it's just full of products from China.
Really? Waiting to be printed?
Yeah, because like they'll buy in bulk, it'll get shipped over, and then they roughly know really how much demand is,
So I heard that the company that you're working for wanted to develop a drink bottle. No, wanted to print on a drink bottle, but couldn't find the right one, so they decided to make their own.
Yeah, it was a type. It's like a plastic one. Well, they found a bottle, but there was issues with it. They figured out we'll print their own. No, not print their own. Create their own bottles, and it was more efficient than to purchase them. So they've got a bottle maker. Just like those, you get different shapes. It's not like that sort of bottle. It's like when you kind of buy it, it's more durable, and you can kind of design the shapes as well now. It's pretty cool.
It's amazing.
In Lawrence, of all places, because it's quite cheap for space there.
I don't know. Like I've only been there since February, and you know they're expanding pretty big. So there's talk about moving down to the new. But it sort of originated there. The original owner was from Lawrence, and
It's like an old family business.
Right.
isn't it?
yeah. But it's